Hello, welcome friends. Today is the 6th of December 2023. I want to share with you some thoughts. Let's see. I have been watching the inquiry, the English inquiry about the global illness that happened in 2020. And there is an inquiry being carried out by the government. And it has been going on for about a month. I don't have a television, so I don't watch it. I haven't been watching it, just bits and pieces of what I find in YouTube. But today, I saw the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, being questioned about it, how the whole thing and the lockout, the lockdown came about and so on. Not really going to talk much about it because I haven't been following it in detail. But watching him being interrogated by a lawyer came to my mind how when he became Prime Minister, how hopeful a lot of us were. I was. For the first time, it sounds a little bit silly and naive and innocent pre the illness. But certainly the great majority of the population was hopeful that here was someone who seemed to be different, had won the election on the basis of Brexit and so on. I won't go into all the details, obviously. But we saw him as someone, yes, he was a little bit goofy and everything, but I didn't hold it against him. I thought that he was the typical sort of aristocratic, eccentric, English eccentric. We could do with a few more of those independent thinkers, intelligent, learned. And for a moment I thought that we would have a different kind of leader. And then he got the illness himself, and I was worried. I remember thinking, oh no, my mind went back to President Kennedy when he was assassinated, the things that he was going to do and so on, and so, cut off in the middle of all that, what he wanted to do. And when Boris Johnson got sick, my mind went back to those days. I lived through the assassination of President Kennedy. And I thought, my goodness, so early on, the things that, is he going to die? It was at the very beginning, you remember, in March or something like that. And I thought, is he going to die? Which means that all our hopes that we had were going to just disappear and so on. Anyway, he recovered, and but then something changed, and all of a sudden he started talking about net zero and all the things that we thought we were going to leave behind. And what I thought was, he's no longer with us, with the people. He's with them, whoever they are. And this disillusionment, this atmosphere of disillusionment, that no, he wasn't going to do anything that he had promised to do. He was no longer one of the people. And I wondered what happened to him and why he changed. And I came to the realization myself. I'm sorry, I'm thinking along as I am speaking. I think that what he lacked, not passing judgment on him really, but it's just my opinion, what he lacked was principles. He was not a principle. He's not a principled person. He's hence not a moral person in the old-fashioned word, meaning of the word. Knowing the difference between this is right and this is wrong, but whatever, I'll change to this side now and I'll change again if I have to, and so on. So what we hoped would be the beginning of a new era disintegrated, just sort of came, tumbling down. And I think it was lack of moral principle in this particular case. Talking about moral principles, I have been watching a number of videos coming from this last war in the Middle East. And of course, I have dealt with this before. Some of them are very, I find, hopeful, in that you see young people saying that what is happening is wrong. The way that the Palestinians are being treated is wrong. And so young people, and especially Jewish young people, saying this is wrong. But so that's hopeful. But at the same time, I'm seeing, I don't know whether you have watched them too, some horrific ones, and I am stunned. I cannot believe that this was happening. I'll give you a few examples. In one of them, you see a Palestinian woman leaving her house. She's going out. Then they said that she was going to the shops. Okay, so she left the house, and there are two little kids on the top floor, sort of looking out of the window, smiling. Okay, and then you see an Israeli soldier dressed in as a soldier and with a machine gun. And he proceeds to weld the house closed, to lock the house, to weld it. With the little children looking out, and he's laughing as he's doing that. So that when the woman comes, she can't get in. And then you see a lot of young men trying to unweld it, to break it open, and so on. And I'm thinking, why did the Israeli soldier do that? And what kind of a human being does that? And then there is another one where some eggs are being delivered to a shop, and there is a whole cart full of eggs. And another soldier stops them from delivering it, takes the cart away, and then together with others, laughing, they throw all the eggs into the rubbish dump. In other words, they did not allow the eggs to be delivered to the shop, took the whole cart, and then threw the eggs into the dump. And they're laughing. So much hatred here. I don't know whether this can ever be solved, in that there is so much hatred. Don't know how you can get away, get out of that, because you can say, well, there is hatred on both sides. Yes, that's the problem. Once feel hatred, the Palestinians feel hatred towards the Israelis, probably because they feel, well, it's their land and so on. Okay, you know all the arguments. So hatred out of grievance or out of resentment or out of whatever it is, okay? The hatred of the Israelis towards the Palestinians is a hatred filled with disdain and contempt, which is probably more lethal. I was watching also an interview with a singer who, I don't remember his name, because I'm old. Young people, you will know his name straight away once I tell you. But he was a member of a band called Pink Floyd. And Pink Floyd, when I was young in the 70s, was very, very famous. I don't think I ever listened to them. I think I sort of heard something once and it was too noisy for me or something, even when I was young. I don't remember, but I never followed them. But they were very famous, and perhaps they're still famous now, because this person, and I forget his name, I'm so sorry, he was a member of that band, and apparently the one who wrote most of the songs, and they're interviewing him. And he's talking about the pain he feels for those Palestinians who are driven out of their homes, and they are told to go south, and then when they get south, they're bombed there in the south and so on. He's talking about that. And he's saying that he cannot believe what's happening. And then, and this is what drew my attention, then he mentions an Israeli pop singer who, in the lyrics of a song, she mentions, it's about the Palestinians, and she sings that they are snakes and they need to be decapitated. And the little snakes that the women have in their wombs also need to be done with. And I can't believe that this is possible. You mean to tell me that there is a song there talking about the Palestinian people as snakes and subhuman, and that even the little ones in the wombs need to be done away with? I am stunned. I remember when the war in Ukraine started, that we saw some little kiddies giving the salute, you know, the 1930s salute, little kiddies. And I thought, oh my goodness, how is that possible? Do they teach that at school or what? And then we saw soldiers there with the tattoos and so on, and I realized this ideology is still alive in some parts of the world. But now I'm seeing something equivalent in the disdain that they feel for other people. I don't know what to make of this. I am trying to find out. I'm trying to find out what makes a human being torture another human being and derive pleasure from it. What makes that Israeli soldier lock that house up with the 2 children inside and laugh? Or take the eggs from a shop and go and throw them into the rubbish dump and laugh and derive pleasure from that laugh, from that situation. And I want to find out, because I am a human being and we are all obviously capable of that kind of torture. It is within us somewhere. And what refrains some of us from doing so and others feel free to derive pleasure from torturing others? When I was young in the 70s, I remember I had a friend from Chile, here in Oxford, who had been tortured in prison. It was during the Chile coup d'etat, and she had been imprisoned and she had been tortured. She walked with a limp, very, very obvious limp. And I asked her about it, and she didn't want to go into great detail about it, but she just told me that she had been imprisoned and she had been tortured. And being young and not wise, I asked her about it, not realizing how painful that might have been for her to talk about it. And eventually she gave me little details of how you're being, when you are a political prisoner, that you're tortured. And the details are horrendous. I will just tell you very generally and briefly that it always comes back, degenerates into sexual torture and so on. And to the women, is particularly horrendous. We're talking about sort of penetration, but, you know, with dead animals, with a dead chicken, horrendous things. I don't know, I can imagine how men are tortured too, but I you know, but it was absolutely horrendous. And again, I come back to the question, what makes a human being be capable of that and enjoy it? You know, that sadist pleasure that they get. I don't know. But I have to come back to the same thing that I started with at the beginning, the lack of moral constraint. And some people seem to have become amoral. In other words, they had to use that often tiresome phrase of crossing the Rubicon. They have crossed the line to, you know, there is no going back, as it were. That moral line that prevents you from, you know, going ahead and doing something of that caliber. And my concern is that we are being, more and more, I think that we are being governed by people who are amoral. And that is the danger, because we live now in a nuclear age, and when people have no moral constraints of any kind, what can we hope for? Because it seems rather difficult that they will change. Can you come back from that line to one of repentance or shame or something? I fear not. And here we are. What is to be done? At the moment, I think there is at the moment very little we can do. The world is being governed by all these octogenarians, it seems. Biden, the Pope, Soros, the German guy there in the World Economic Forum, whatever his name is. I choose to forget. All these people who are amoral. And you think, well, okay, so perhaps the world might change. They're not going to be around forever. But then you see these young Israelis who write these songs about killing people that they consider inferior animals. And people who go and to the top of a hill there in Israel, and whenever a bomb falls, they sit on deck chairs and they clap. But at the same time, now we are seeing these young people, the new generation, who have reacted, and they are out there protesting. And they seem to know the difference, at least, between right and wrong. Amazing, isn't it, that it is the young and not the old. I have no answers. I'm just stunned. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.